Hey there, Rom.
Hey, Brandon. Okay, so I pinged Andy, who is the other coach there, to come and join. Uh,
I've been bad missing this one for a few weeks now, so
yeah, this is the OCA. We do it every week, so there is it's a cadence that you can engage with people more. This is running at a 2 week cadence for now because it's still early stages of what we want to do here.
yeah.
Uh, and I think what I am seeing is probably at least in this aspect we are probably converging between OCA and CNCF, at least here. So um, uh, because there seems to be interest in the CNCF world to just standardize on OCI for lots of things because it's practical. Most of the problems are solved. There is community participation.
I think it gets attention because a lot of people already have access to an OCI registry of some kind.
That is correct. Yes, yes. So it is. You can immediately start seeing impact, right? And after our battles with the whole artifacts thing, now that it is sort of out there, we'll see. Yeah, so I was actually thinking, these are just voicing my thoughts here. It's just free thoughts, right? So um, it's just to an extension of what I was thinking. So basically, what is happening is with the way this our specs are shaping up, it looks like as use cases expand between distribution, packaging, and runtime. So packaging, because we have introduced the concept of artifacts, we are basically fundamentally saying we are giving you the mechanism for all this packaging. So fundamentally, you're bringing your own packaging. Okay, so bring your own packaging model there. And then in your runtime, because you have your own bring your own packaging model that enables a bring your own runtime kind of thing. The one thing that is unlikely to be bring your own is probably distribution because it has a two-legged problem. One side it needs the runtime side to pull, and on the artifact side, on the distribution side, you have both push and pull, right? So that is unlikely to change. So that is the one that sets standards on both worlds, I think. So anyway, this is just a thought.
I'm not quite following. I'm not
Okay, so
sure.
this is an extension of the WASM model, right? So in the WASM model, what has happened? So previously we just had only container images, right? People cared about only container images. There's only one thing that the community prescribed, and then you have the container runtimes, which is whatever the hooks and pre and all of that stuff, right? So that is the you lay out the file system and you pivot route and all of that. So the runtime is a runtime to run a artifact type, which is the container image. So that is how it has evolved so far, right? Now, as people put more stuff into now, because the artifacts gives you the ability to loosen these rules a bit so that you can actually put anything in there. Right, and once you put anything in there, then there is some anything that can consume it, and one of that is basically a runtime. A runtime could consume it, right? So which means that I also have I gain the freedom of choosing my own runtime. So that is what it is enabling. Now, the one thing that probably is not likely to change is the distribution part, because there you need some kind of a contract uh, that enables both sides of this world. So, so that's why I said that's exactly why I said it's bring your own packaging and bring your own runtime. So,
I think looking through how I've seen the way people are using this, we've had artifacts for a long while. You'd think Helm charts have been out there for a decent amount of time. It's not overnight. It's not something that the OCI 1.1 enabled. They've been doing that for a little bit. But at least in that scenario, the Helm charts had Helm as the tool that was interpreting the data, and the container images had their own runtime that was pulling the data, and they were very distinct from each other, and they just you didn't even have the same things in the same repositories necessarily. A lot of times they would split them into different repos.
Yeah.
And now we're getting into the scenario where we're starting to see some gray areas and some blending between, where runtimes are getting more and more interested in what these artifacts are. They're verifying the signatures. They are getting WASM stuff in there that is a completely different runtime interpreter from the rest of the container image platforms.
Yeah.
So we're getting this very grayish area between, where we used to have a very distinct split of this tool pulled that thing, this tool pulled that thing, and now it's everybody's kind of pulling everything else.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly what I mean by bring your own runtime. And so you okay.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
so
try to be careful of saying OCI hasn't gotten into the runtime, because they do have the whole runtime spec, and they've just been
yes. That's I absolutely am with you on that one. So like I said, I'm putting my comments out there just with a qualifier saying that feel free to ignore this.
yeah. And even though distribution itself seems to be a glue that holds a lot of this stuff together,
Yeah.
it is implemented in different ways by a lot of people. And so we're going to see more and more of that as
Yes.
time goes on. We're going to see a lot more fracturing of this as we go forward.
Or it could be the other way around. So because the packaging and the runtimes need more capabilities, there will be a requirement on the contracts being much stronger between these two worlds. So maybe the distribution spec becomes far more important in the future. It can go either way. So
I see a demand, but I also see a lot of the implementation saying, yeah, you guys can write the new version of the spec. We're going to stick with the old version for a while, just because we don't have the time to update any of our code. And
oh yeah, that's a problem. Yes, that's an implementation problem, I would say.
and
But if
there are a
customers,
lot of these implementations out there.
yeah, it's fine. So as customers start demanding this, then changes will happen. So
Yep.
and the demand is going to come from developers mostly, because they're usually the early adopters.
I see it coming from both sides, honestly. I'll see the operations team saying we need to start signing all of our container images and demanding that everything gets signed, and or that SBOMs get attached to everything, and the developers just like, okay, yeah, another thing we're supposed to do to make the security team happy, or something like that. It really depends on each company, kind of pulls from a different direction. It's curious.
Okay.
But yeah, we've been on and off enough that I think people might have forgotten about us. Did we say anything in the Slack to get folks?
Oh, I did send I did ping. Yes, I did ping the Slack channel, and I sent a message to Andy as well. Andy, I think what he said is he has a hair fire situation right now that he may not be able to get out of in time. So that's okay. Let's make sure we mark the meeting.
You did say March 9th. It's the 8th. Maybe it's 9th for you.
Oh, no, it's not. I'm on this side of the international timeline. Oh man, that's my mistake. Okay.
That's
March
all
8th.
right. I'm just looking at the Slack message right now, and I'm like, wait a
Yeah,
minute.
yeah. Let me, sorry,
What day
let
is it?
me. My bad on that one. So
I just dropped a little message earlier. We'll see if anybody shows up.
Andy's here. Hey, Andy.
He has the no audio icon on, so he might still be connecting.
Okay.
Maybe it's waiting for him to dial in.
Yeah, so I was thinking, so there is one requirement that is coming from the CNCF side, artifact side, is the ability to search. That's the one of the main drivers here, right? So that's why I was thinking, at least to keep both camps happy, we should probably think about the search as coming in as an extension, so that we can make progress on the CNCF side, and it is somewhat independent and detached from the OCA side. And if there is interest from the community, then we can sort of move this into the spec itself as a first class type.
I think we'll make better progress on search if we split it into two, which is search across the entire registry and search within a single repository.
Sorry, Brandon, you broke up for me. But could you repeat that 1 second?
Yeah, I think we're going to see a lot less friction if we break search up into two and tackle search within a single repository first, and then do search across multiple repositories across our entire registry. I think it looks like Andrew got his audio working there.
Okay.
Are you with us, Andrew? He might still be unmuting. I see the phone icon pop up, so I think he dialed in.
Yeah. Okay, so in that case, if you think that is the way to go forward, so are you suggesting that we make it a first class type and then do a single repository search, or shall we keep it as an extension? Because if you make it an extension, then you can do whatever you want. It could be a GraphQL query, it can be any kind of implementation. So if we can make it an extension and attack the single repository problem, or we can make it a first class type in the spec itself and attack the single repository problem.
All right, I was looking at Andy's comments there. What were you summarizing there, Rob?
Oh, sorry. No. I was saying how to just to get into the details of the implementation of it, right? I mean, in terms of where we need to position this. So the search in a single repository, it can either be a first class type as a modification of the existing disk spec, or we can continue to look at it as a extension and then attack that particular problem there. The advantage of an extension is your implementation doesn't have to be the REST API kind of model, right? You can do whatever you want there. It's just some HTTP API. Including GraphQL. So that's the advantage of making it an extension. If you make it a first class type, then you may have to sort of align with everything that's over there. So
I'll give you my end goal, which is that I'm looking to enhance the tag listing API. And I think this might blend nicely into some of that effort, which is to make the tag listing a lot more featureful, that we can do more with it. But we can start as an extension, just kind of flesh out the idea there.
Okay.
And the direction I'm thinking of for enhancing the tag listing is to optionally give some more parameters you can pass in, but also to set a accept media type on there so that the registry knows the client is looking for the new enhanced response and not the original tag listing. And then if you were to run that same tag listing on an old registry and it didn't know what to do with it, it would just give you back the original tag listing, and the client would see in the content type of the response that it knows that it's just getting the JSON response.
Okay, that is one way to go. Yeah. And also this, I mean, the bigger scope is the catalog, right? Catalog is the across the registry search.
Yeah.
So.
And that's the one I feel like we're going to see a little more friction from people. So I'm thinking of splitting it into two challenges. And that way, if it's split and we see friction on one of them, we still make progress with the other.
Okay.
My hope is we don't get bogged down somewhere and registries look at it and say, yeah, that's great, but we're not going to implement it.
Yeah, that's always going to be the case, Brandon. I mean, I don't expect the whole world to implement this as soon as the spec is out. That is not realistic at all. At least, but the point being, once it is set in, once you put this spec out, then people can catch up because the spec is versioned. Then you can obviously argue on the version. So And the push is going to come only from customers, not us. So
Yep,
How about now? Can you hear me now?
we can.
oh
Oh,
yes,
thank
Andy.
goodness.
Welcome,
I was
welcome
double
back.
muted.
Yeah.
I was double muted, and I'm on a train into Zurich.
Oh, perfect.
Nice.
Yeah. So, anyways, I heard everything you all said for the last 10 minutes. I just couldn't speak.
Okay. So, do
And
you have any thoughts?
as I said in chat, yes, going in and breaking this up into 2 separate areas is going to make it more consumable. I'm really in the favor of let's go ahead and get small wins and instead of trying to boil the ocean and get this massive win. And with the new spec out there, it's great, but I don't see any. I know like maybe the Azure guys we're waiting for it, but most container registries aren't going to be ready to consume 1.1 for 4 months, 5, 6 months at least.
Yeah, like you say, I know Azure has been pretty close to ready to go. The ECR team as well said that they were waiting on us before they put the last of it in there, and they had tested some stuff out internally. So I think they're close. Maybe not as close as Azure, but they're still relatively close. And then distribution has a PR they're working on, and so hopefully the upstream distribution project will get updated in the not too distant future, which that propagates into a lot of other projects once they do it on their side.
I've been working with the Quake team at Red Hat to also get awareness from their side too. I don't have any timelines, but they're aware of the spec out there, and they're adding it to their backlogs.
Yeah, I think a lot of people saw this and kind of nodded and said, yeah, let us know when it's GA. And it's been a challenge for OCI because we don't typically work that direction.
Yeah, there's a first time for everything. I think the directions may be flipping here now. So
yeah, I mean, there was a comment yesterday in the OCI Slack, and I got a ping afterwards from Amy because she had to drop toward the end saying, "What on earth did I hear?" As I was just jumping out because I think it was Tianon saying that, "Hey, we're not a standards body. We are documenting the consensus of what other people are already doing." And I think that was roughly what he was saying. And historically, that is very accurate. That historically is how OCI is operated. Going forward, I don't think we're going to be able to go that direction anymore.
that's correct. Yeah, I agree. I
we're-
agree. The
we're just not
founding
gonna see it.
founding history is the founding history is that, right? That's how you get everybody at the table. But once you build consensus, how do you build on top of it? So that's the question. So
Yeah, they were documenting exactly what people had already implemented, knowing that there were a lot of people that were trying to be Docker compatible different ways. And so they did a good job capturing that. But at a certain point, you hit this transition where you have to say, well, now we're making new stuff and nobody wants to move until we say GA. And that's unfortunate. But because of that, we're kind of stuck with that.
okay, but the cat's out of the bag now. So
yeah. But we do have the path forward for adding new features. Typically an OCI has been a working group, but there's the idea of you document as an extension. You get a couple people that spin it up that aren't major cloud vendors. And so like yourself with SOT, get a fork running on distribution. I can do it on mine. We get a couple clients out there. Get a few tools out there that shows this stuff works and get at least a nod from the cloud registries. They're the tougher ones because they've got a lot of data to move around and make accessible and whatnot. And if you say you need to make a search API available to a cloud registry, immediately what they're thinking of is how much data do I have to rescan into our internal databases to implement this API, and how long would that take, and how much data is that going to cost us? And they're running through numbers in their head that are very big.
It's fair. It's at the end of the day, it's a business decision. Yes. So, and that's exactly why I was very mindful of making the suggestion that this be an extension rather than rather than a first class type, right? So this is, I had that in mind as well. So
is there anything next for us to discuss in here of next steps, things we need to work on?
I think the
I think a
the
lot of
OC, I think, sorry, Andy, sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, just making sure we can keep track of, the cloud registries, kind of push on them to at least start making 1.1 available. And then, as you say, the two different paths with the extension and being able to showcase it. The big thing is, once we start having some progress in terms of development, we got to showcase it. We need a good demo, what the value is. Why should people care? That's what we really need to move towards.
Yeah, I'll let Ron do the typing there. I think in terms of showing the value, that's going to come into groups like Helm and other people that want to use this that can't do certain features today. And so seeing from them saying, hey, we have this demand, we want to be able to do this stuff with the registry, and these new APIs enable that, that's going to help us a lot.
Exactly. So what do we want to tackle between now and our meeting in 2 weeks? Is there anything we want to do, put on anyone's plate? I know I have
think
KubeCon in the next 2 weeks, so my availability is slim.
That has been my refrain in every meeting that I've been going to, is limited availability. I got so much on the plate these days already.
Yes, I did sign up for KubeCon, but I had to pull out because of family situation here, so personal issues. So I was about to show up there. Yeah.
So one of the things I want to work with everyone here is I do have a presentation, a lightning talk at the Tag F Delivery booth at noon CEST or CST, pardon me, or CET, pardon me, on the second day. So I'm going to start working on a presentation. I'd love to get your input and collaboration if possible.
Oh, please, yes, I would love to give feedback on it, Andy. If you have something to share.
Perfect. So I'll try getting that out. It might be a little bit later. It's lower on the totem pole only because it's a lightning talk versus an actual presentation. So it'll probably not this upcoming weekend, but next weekend.
Yeah, it's perfectly fine. So as even a rough draft is, I'm willing to work with a rough draft too, not an issue.
For scheduling purposes, 2 weeks from today, I think KubeCon is wrapping up. So we'll probably end up skipping this meeting then.
Okay.
And then it's not 2 weeks, but 3 weeks after, just because this month had a extra Friday in it. So it would be April 12th. That will be our next meeting.
Okay, that's okay. We can set it up that way. So at least hopefully we'll make some progress and noise in the OCA world as well for other things on the agenda.
So between now and 5 weeks from now, I imagine some people will be decompressing from all the KubeCon meetings. Other people will have free time during the KubeCon to maybe make some progress.
Yeah. Okay, so we can, I think, we can call end of a meeting if nothing else.
Sounds good to me. Andy, have a good train ride there.
Thanks, guys.
Okay.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.
Cheers.